Hey puzzlers, this is Steve here with another video on how to play some logic puzzles. This one's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be going over any specific puzzle, but rather a group of puzzles. I've recently published my second logic puzzle book on Amazon. I'll post a link in the description below for you guys. Would love it if you'd check it out. Had a lot of fun making it. Hopefully you guys have a lot of fun solving it. So there are 25 different types of puzzles here, 100 altogether. First and foremost is Minesweeper. I think you guys are probably all familiar with it already. If you are not, rules are real simple. The numbers indicate how many mines are adjacent to those numbers, and that's it. Now there are other variants to Minesweeper, like Minesweeper Double or Double Minesweeper, where instead of just having one mine per cell, you can have up to two per cell. So you can see that there's three, there's two mines right next to it, and one down here. So that makes it a little bit more challenging. There's also Sudoku Mine, where regular rules apply, but there can only be 3 mines in every row, column, and 3x3 region. So a lot of fun. It's actually probably my favorite variant of Minesweeper. In addition, there is now Line Sweeper, which instead of finding mines next to it, you're finding line segments, and you're drawing a single continuous loop by using these line segments. There is Battleship Minesweeper. Instead of finding individual mines, you're finding ships. Again, you have a number which tells you how many ship segments are adjacent to it. And then there's old-fashioned Battleship, where instead of the clues being in the middle of the grid like in Minesweeper, they're along the outside to indicate how many ship segments are in those rows or columns. Then you have Digital Battleship, where instead of the clues along the outside telling you how many ship segments are in that row or column, it tells you the sum of the digits that contain ship segments. So you can see here this 11, for instance, is 3 plus 8. Or this 4, for instance, you know that this 8 and 5 cannot be ship segments because that's greater than the 4. So a little bit of math there, but still a lot of fun. Not my favorite. Again, math-based puzzles are a little bit lower on my fan list. Then you have Lighthouse, where essentially these are lighthouses that tell you how many boats they see in their given row or column. So this 2, for instance, can see 2 boats going up, down, left, or right, and your job is to find all the boats in the grid. And then you have Lighthouse Battleships, where essentially it's the same rules as Lighthouse, but instead of finding individual boats, you're finding these larger battleships. Then you have Rain Clouds. This is actually, I think, a unique one because you're not finding single-filed objects. They're too wide, so the shapes have to be at least 2 by 2, and then the numbers along the outside tell you again how many segments of a rain cloud are in that given row or column. There's Star Battle. This is probably one of the most popular ones out there. You're looking for 2 stars in every row, column, and region, and stars cannot be adjacent to one another, so they can't touch one another. Lit, it's sort of a Tetris-esque type puzzle where you're basically fitting Tetris shapes, except for the square, but the L, I, T, and S shape into these regions so that they are all connected, but you can't have 2 shapes of the same type touch one another. You have Tetroid. This actually, I think, was my favorite puzzle, just because I'm such a huge Tetris fan. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to fit Tetris pieces into these cells so that you have to cover every single cell. And again, no 2 pieces of the same type can touch one another. Then you have Nurakob, where what you're doing is you're basically finding islands. These numbers represent islands of that size. So this 5, for instance, forms an island of 5 cells. The 3 forms an island of 3 cells. and shaded cells or water, you can kind of consider it water, flows between the islands, separating them. A lot of fun. I think the Neurocob puzzles entertained me for quite a while. And then there is a variant on the original Neurocob where instead of having one number represent an island, you have two numbers represent an island, and the island is the size of the combined sum. So for instance here, this island has a 2 and a 3 in it, so it's of size 5. So lots of fun, a lot of the same strategy. Then you have Sashigan, or Sashigani. I actually don't know how to pronounce it, so I apologize on my pronunciation. But what you're doing here is you're forming, you're putting L-shaped regions into the grid. The arrows represent the ends of the L-shaped. These circles represent the bends of the L, or where the L takes a turn. And then if there's a number, that represents the size of the L, or how many cells. So this 5, for instance, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells in that L-shaped region. So lots of fun. You have Sashikavi, which is basically a mix or a hybrid between Neurocob and Sashigani. So if you liked either of those puzzles or both of those puzzles, you'll definitely like this one. Again, you're taking the L-shaped regions and you're forming islands where the water flows between those islands. Then you have Filamino, which is another very popular logic puzzle, where essentially you're putting polyominoes in this grid, and the numbers indicate how many cells are in that polyomino. So this 6, for instance, is going to have 6 cells in its region, and then the 2 will have 2 cells in that region, and you can't have 2 of the same size polyomino touching one another. So you couldn't have these 2s be orthogonally adjacent. They could be diagonally adjacent, but they can't touch one another up, down, or left, or right. You have non-row, which is somewhat similar to Filamino's, where in this case, though, you're forming bridges between the regions. So basically, all the numbers have to connect with one another, and there's going to be 2 2s in 4 4s, 3 3s, 1 1. Basically, the numbers have to represent the how many there are in them. So maybe I'm not explaining that the best way, but let's think of it this way. So there's a 3 in this region. There has to be 2 other 3s to make it 3 3s. This 4 region, there has to be 4 4s. And all the numbers have to connect, and it basically creates a single orthogonally connected group. So lots of fun there. Tapa, this is very similar to Minesweeper in that the numbers represent how many shaded cells are adjacent to it. But what's different here is this 4, instead of saying that there's 4 shaded cells next to it, it says that there's 4 connected shaded cells. So all of this, the clues are connected. Now, if there's 2 separate numbers, it means there's 1 shaded cell and then there's 3 shaded cells connected. So here there's 2 shaded cells on one side of it and 3 shaded cells on another side of it. And the shaded cells all connect with one another orthogonally and create a path. And there can never be a 2 by 2 area of the grid that's shaded in. So Tapa, if you like Minesweeper, you're definitely going to like Tapa. I promise that. And then there's another Tapa puzzle, but with a variant that says that there can't be any 2 by 2 white areas as well as 2 by 2 black areas. So again, if you like Tapa, you're going to like the Tapa variant. Corral, or what I call it cave, or caves, is basically you're going to see, if you imagine this as a cave, a path through the cave, and the shaded cells being the wall. The path through the cave gets formed by the numbers. What the numbers show you is how many cells is white in the cave that's seen by this number. So this 5 sees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, this 5 sees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's up, down, left, right. I enjoyed it. I think this is, again, one of my more favorite ones. It was hard, you know, if I had to pick which ones were my favorite, it's really hard. I I made this book specifically filled with my favorite puzzles. Masu, it's a loop forming puzzle where essentially the loop bends on every shaded cell and goes through every unshaded cell and then turns. So basically, the rules state that the loop has to connect, there's no intersections, and yeah, basically it has to pass through every circle. And the white circles, it goes straight, and the dark circles, it bends. Lots of fun there. And then the last two is easy as ABC and not as easy as ABC. How it works is basically every letter A through E has to be in every row and column without repeating. There's going to be one blank cell in every row and column, and the clues along the outside indicate the letter that's first seen from that direction. So in this case, a D's got to be here, or maybe in the second one if this one's blank. And then from this direction, you can see a C is going to be in this cell or that cell. Again, it can only be in this cell if this one is blank. So that is easy as ABC. The harder variant, it doesn't say which letter comes first, but it tells you which letter comes in which specific location. So it says here, from this direction going up, A is going to be the fourth letter that you see, and coming down, a B is going to be the fourth letter that you see. Definitely tougher. Definitely tougher. I really like both of these. If you're looking for more of a challenge, the not as easy as ABC one is definitely tougher, and that's why I put that one last, because it's not easy, as it says in the name. So, but that's it. That's the rules of all the puzzles. Then of course all the answers. So hopefully you guys like it. Again, I would love it if you guys would check it out. I'll post a link in the description below of where you can find it on Amazon. It's $10. So let me know what your thoughts are. I plan on making a few more of these books, but this one probably going to be my favorite, since these are all my favorite puzzles. So go ahead and hit that thumbs up button if you like what you see, and subscribe if you'd like more videos like this in the future. Thanks everyone. Have a good night.